Yeah, thank you for joining us, and thank you for doing this with us. This is our last series event for the year, but we're gonna be back next year. We have a lot of great plans. It's such a pleasure to introduce the great Rickey Laurentiis. This book, The Death of the First Idea, is a book of poems that is singular in its self-assured, elevated, and electrifying eloquence and brilliance, but it's also a book that contains multitudes, a multitude of voices, multitude of sounds, multitude of selves, multitude of gazes, multitudes of interiorities, right? This book makes references to Lady Chapless, then immediately followed by Wally Stevens, which makes me think, wow, what's going on? Greek odes, immediately followed by Nicki Minaj. Okay, some Babs in the house. Is that how you guys say it? Right? Alrighty, and Beyonce. Okay, Black spirituals, Greek figures, heroic figures, Walt Whitman, etc., etc. Just a few pages into the book, actually a few words into the book, starting with our first poem, Still Away, which sort of reminded me of City Wright's Still Away, but really an old African-American spiritual. There's those lines that I really love. Not quite to the boy, not even quite his body, but its boundary. I said you are what is wrong, now fall. I was immediately arrested by these lines. The word fall sort of echoed for me Adam's fall, which in my reading sort of opened the window into one of Rickey's great themes, which is this idea of sin and grace. In their work, they're always investigating the Western notion of sin and grace. Who is worthy of grace, they always ask us. Who is condemned to sin just by the fact of being? In another poem that I deeply love, uses of the erotic. A poet who in an earlier poem had said, should I have stayed there, suddenly declaimed, I love this world. I love this world. For me, it confirmed what I'd begun thinking as I read the book, that this is a book investigating polarities. What is death if it allows a brighter and more powerful resurrection? What part of yourself or old self can you bury if it allows for a deeper and more holy emergence and renewal? What can you cut off if it makes space for the grafting and sculpting of something more beautiful, more new, and more holy? Rickey Laurentiis, this is a little bit personal for me because in 2015, when I first read Boy with Thorn for the first time, I was so stunned. It's taken 10 years for this new book to emerge, and it sort of reminds us of what Toni Morrison said at a eulogy for James Baldwin. I'm paraphrasing wildly, but she had said, you're an artist after all. You shouldn't be confined to making the one commercial hit or what is familiar. In reading this book, this was how I felt about Rickey's work, that this is an artist in the strange, unfamiliar freedoms and transformations and transitions they've made possible in this book. It's such a pleasure to have you, and I welcome you to blow our mind. Rickey Laurentiis.
Hello, thank you. It's so beautiful what you said. I'm probably gonna cry at some point. I'll just do it now, so get it out of the way. This book took 10 years to make, and it wasn't easy. And in the 10 years, I had to transform myself and come to know myself and come again into love. And I wanted to make a book. I'm wearing this shirt that says, "Who are you?" Seductively. And it's really the questions that that revolved in my mind as I was writing this book. Can you hear me? Yeah? Okay. Okay, that's fine. Yeah. Okay, so I'm actually going to start with one poem from Boy with Thorn, which is the last poem. In the title poem, Boy with Thorn, in that phrastic piece, That's unknown who's the author from the 1st century BC, bronze. Boy with Thorn. 1. Entered, those shadows spoke his loneliness like a god. 2. This was new knowledge, the kind he had little business knowing, the mere risk of it making it all the more delicious. 3. A forced out confession, a forcing an in. 4. Each push with a blood yawn like an opiate, each inch a hermeneutics of the self. 5. Would you feed on such hurting? Would you drink so much? 6. Was he so terrible a thing to look at? But was looked at. 7. His face chiseled deliberate, his face a question gone unanswered. 8. There could have been a thorn already inside, his tongue scratching its wrong, speaking its 6 troubles. 9. How? 10. There could have been a thorn already inside, the point in his eye, what makes the shadows their acutest when they lift and sprawl. 11. I keep thinking of the thorn as a marker, a scrawler, which shapes the places both excused and forbidden in his body's swamp. 12. Violence thou shalt want, violence thou shalt steal and store inside. 13. The Spinario, Fidele, boy with a message, a mission, pickaninny, who would not stop for damage, the old story goes. 14. Shame, guilt, spleen, woe, shock, and want. 15. He wanted them gone, I know, all these deeper hurts, poor gods, that lush resentment. 16. But failed, they were greater dark, vows of mystery, done things. 17. Take it. Don't you have to learn to take it eventually? 18. I told him the thorn was as a key, his body a lock. 19. I made him meet the key up with the lock. Turn. 20. I told him, Rickey, turn. 21. He did. An anti-chrysalis, a lyric, which is the piece of a prayer visible. 22. Until he rewound, a new republic, a kingdom where not savagely he was king. 23. Who could bear the wind? 24. Who could feel the self demanding the self? 25. Who could see his honesty, his face more handsome once the pain combed through, combed like a river too clean for love. 26. Violence thou shalt steal, violence thou shalt steal and store inside. 27. He would devour it. 28. This was his body finally his. 29. He shut the thorn up in his foot and told his foot, walk. So now to the next book. One of the earliest things I was really proud about this book are the epigraphs. So I'm going to read them because I took my time with these epigraphs because I had to kind of frame this. And there are 4. The first one is from Plutarch, from On the Pythian Responses. What happened was when I write and I come towards a book, I get caught up in like a landscape or a time period. For Boy with Thorn, it was Southern Gothic, into the Southern Gothic. And then, you know, as soon as I found out I was trans, it was like I needed to go find antecedents for myself. And I knew where to go. It was in antiquity. I had to go all the way back and remind people I've been here, like, and let them know. So here's Plutarch, who says, I shall not therefore be surprised that some of the ancient responses required a double involved language and obscurity. And then Pliny the Elder, from his Natural History, Book 7, says, for whoever believed in the Ethiopian before actually seeing them? Or what is not deemed miraculous when it first comes into knowledge? How many things are judged impossible before they actually occur? And of course, I'm not Ethiopian, but I'm trans, and I'm thinking, yeah, maybe you've never seen her before, but here she is. She's always existed. And then there's Simone de Beauvoir from The Second Sex. Hopefully you know her. She says, men are judge and party. So are women, but can an angel be found? And coming off the heels of Boy with Thorn, I had to do it. I had to get Jesus in here. So there's Jesus of Nazareth from the Gospel of Matthew and Mark. I remember Boy with Thorn ends with him putting a thorn in his foot, and I remember that Jesus says, if your foot causes you to stumble, cut it off. So I didn't cut off anything, but metaphorically, it seemed to happen. So here is a poem from the book called The Ardency, which is why it was before the body. Preternatural, perfect absorber, singular, slowly pervading a body, so the soul is what I'll know. Patient dreamer, deep still indigo, chased with the psyche's wings, all subliminal chiffon and 2 cachets. One is virtue, the other is vice, like the butterfly. Both values surprise as they flutter the grieving air, yea, that the sky is grieving such glory the soul is, all glad earth is harassed with its beauty and scorched with its force the more. This is my requiem for beauty. Lord, a Carmen for the lewdly beautiful ones who care. A constant changeling practice as like a sky once shy-born and sweet, if a fierce evident blue loses its boy-sorry expression but is a sore character at near twilight setting champagnely upon the ground. Your gaze is a god's. It looks out with the fences. Or like the painted red face of stepped Babylon, a shrew, or like a half-siren, all shrewd, now gone hither and yon, first see rat tails in the hair, now see silk unshorn curls gat this Phaethon like some stupider Apollo of the sun, 2 minutes confused yet vital on these daresome ways. Sun come down in a swagger to smote, bright gold. That the sky be now fuchsia, farouche, now bubblegum orange, daffodils and neon pinks and lemon rinds, such flashes in action painting up high as to make a feminine scar of beauty, so prized it hurts. It hurts when it mounts a body, the soul do, evident at life's crowning, here to bully that craven ship, but yet sublime, which terrifies. Behind the face, the soul's a process, but the God maketh our face to shine. Yeah. Okay. Should it be taller or? Okay.
Okay, is that comfortable?
That's great.
Okay.
Push this back a little bit. But the God maketh our face. I believe that. The God maketh our face to shine. I believe that. I believe my poems. That's why I'm always ready to cry. I'm like, and it's, you said such beautiful things about my work and the originality of it. And my work explores the question of who are you, but it also explores history and some of the prized events of history, but also some of its violences. And so I'm going to read a poem now, simply called 2019. I thought when I first wrote this poem, it was in 2018, and I was angry. I thought I would, by the time it got to a book, I would change the title. But then, remember the pandemic? The world ended. So 2019 was the last year of the last world, because about 2020, we were locked down. And I want people to remember that, like, could you ever imagined that for 3 to 5 months, the whole entire world would stop, and we would be locked in our houses afraid of the corrupt air? Not the water, not the soil, not our sex, not how otherwise diseases move, but the air itself. The earth is trying to tell us something, right? And so 2019 looms large in my mind. Excuse me. I'm hooked up here. Looms large in my mind. And I'm also trying to reference back 1919, just 100 years earlier, which is around the time when the influenza break happened, right? So this happens, often. But it was also the year of the Red Summer, which saw terrible racist vigilante violence peppered across not just one city, but many cities. So I'm referencing, hopefully, all of that. So this is 2019. I could string him back up the tree, sir, if you like. Return his skin's meaning to that easy distance, coal dust blaze and far blacken him, Mr. William Brown. You love how the blood muddies the original, the way it makes a stage of my speechifying, this leaching capital almost from his dying like an activist. I know I'm not supposed to sing of his ringing penetrability, those holes I open and pose in on the form, but all I see is bullets discerning him as years ago it was rope. I could pull it tighter, finger each bullet deeper if you like, an inch rougher, far enough to where it becomes that second heat, erotic. I could use the erotic, ma'am, if you like, so ungarish, bearing not too frank a mood, subtle, so you need it. Funny how some dark will move illicit if you close your eyes, the way say my black pleasure is named too explicit for a page, but this menace I put in it is not. I could yank and knot the rope, if you like, him like a strange fragment in them trees, and the word again spelled out on his neck would be the rope's predicate, to let wild, patterned, and fierce his moan. It is a tragedy. No, it is a sonnet. How I know already how he ends. But I can make him a her, if you like, regender them to merely canvas for your empathy, soup for my mouth. Still, if I could but just get this blunt, burnt lynch body up from on out the pocket behind my eye, all trees could be themselves again, all sound. One thing I really like about being black is the ways we talk. And that's like if I could but just get this, but like we talk like that. We like those little prepositions in between. I just think we're beautiful in all the ways that we are. Moving forward. So the book opens with a suite of poems that are Rickey as he was before it goes into this kind of long, extended walk into transformation. And so this poem, this is not my present, perspective, but this is where I came from towards where I'm going. So this is simply called Beautiful Bottom, Beautiful Shame. And I don't think I need to say more about, you know what a bottom is, okay? Right? If you don't, Google it. Google it with gay, and you'll find out. The way he writhed beneath the other man argued his loneliness. But he wasn't just a blank measure waiting to sound. However much an O his mouth made, he wasn't just an O. Thrusting back up against what is almost like a finger, though it isn't. Always needing to be touched like a finger, to be held. I'm lonely. My waist cinched inward like some vintage Japanese fan, the clever blade of my back working inch by inch toward a pleasure half mine, the way fire pleases, wax pleases. What does possession mean? No, really, tell me. That at this moment someone beside myself can feel how many times I shudder. Asked if I like it, I like it. I speak out those 3 syllables, mess myself. The point is, I think to empty. It feels good. To be 2 men, 2 bodies, interlocked in a sentence still forming. We dance the dance that says, I want you. Come closer, come in me. No, really, he said as a whisper, boy, you want to be possessed. Because you see, he'd been removed from his body then, per usual. His beauty like a talisman offered, his woundedness revealed. Him. And that's him as in the churches, him, H-Y-M-N. And imagine that I'm looking in the mirror, processing this poem. Anything more? You remember the Me Too movement? I remember everything. I don't let nothing go. I guess the Me Too movement is, I hope, still happening. But it unlocked some questions for me, that movement, and around masculinity, around men, and just what they up to, right? And so this is called Him. There's a valley a man's worked back makes, and there's a violence too. There's a river a man's low voice makes, and it is benevolence too. There's a falcon his fierce attention makes, and there's a violence too. There's a way a man just turns at you, his weight crying, he alone am the one hurt, assumes malevolence too. Turns sudden color, superior, repeating scarlet eye, solo am hurt, so that violence turns the spirals of a rising argument. Wait, listen, yet his violence chooses not to hear, but dismisses, so that choice, some choices, shameless, random, some evasions seem a violence too. Men choose the violence they deliver, like mirrors choose the subjects of their debt. Or is it by accident? Look in, and what is it you think you see? Yourself, your power, your prejudices come out the throat to take like any man, all the while always the nearest man's side, or his business, or his strident evidence, or damage, or any benefit of doubt, his wit, his acumen, and of course they won't admit it, drum violence too. Like I do I create violence too, or call it violation? What is it when I say yes, still mean no? I say no, but mean it. Is that a violence too? But offense, let it degrees of offense, hierarchies of injury, declensions of pain, sat among violation, vex, and violences too. Though lately what I'm trying hard to make sense in me is mad before is meeker, less feral, yet is more femme than feasible, and fine, yet is upset and not a man, or hardly was, so failed it short and sees no more the purpose for the value in the claim. A man turns to you and names himself the emperor of pain, like it ain't possible his tall hubris hurt and stridency hurt him first. Why be a man when there are valleys you can be? Penetrate and you can glide them. Take in their onyx expanse as one better second nature and see some shy ribbon of river move in tricky patient wakes the very line the falcon takes returning to the falconer. How be a woman when her flight be wary yet? Is anyone sovereign in that whose space contests before a mirror as it chooses not to ground eyes down shore and in the self? Q. Peace. I think it means that we can be some other work than we were raised, that I can strike out him, for singing up benevolence too. For it's easy enough to conquer a man. I look in his eyes and grow pathetic. And the last line, so the apparatus was really important to me, and then I took my time on the notes. I was like, okay, I'm writing these weird poems. Let me tell them I can write an actual sentence, because I'm doing weird things with sentences and lines. And that very last line, "Girl Pathetic," comes from, I think, Hatchet. She was an early suffragist, and she would go around and, the saloons were a problem, and they linked the saloon culture to male violence. And so you would find because at that time, this is the turn of the 20th century, at that time, women of a certain, tra-la-la, white women of a kind, couldn't go out in the streets, couldn't be at the bars, but they could be religious, they could be Christian, and they could, before they could maybe come out as feminists or even suffragists, they could attach it to temperance, and they could attach it to the saloon culture. So Hatchet, if you read the notes, you'll see her actual name. She would go around, people would go around and hack up saloons and men, and that quote comes from her because while she was nothing there necessarily to look at, apparently she knew what she was doing. And she would go up to men and she would say, "I just look pathetic." And then they all turn to her and leave the saloon. What they wanted was men to leave the saloon so that they wouldn't come back home drunk as a skunk and do terrible things to the family. So, all right. My next one is just a short one called Mundane Song. You go outside and the trees don't know you're black. The lilacs will chatter and break themselves, real bloom, real boom, whatever, no matter your gender. You matter. You cross a natural life is who you is and makes briefest material, so you matter. How we are added unto, candle heart and take it from, it matters. Your afro may start matted, now be combed to touch the sky. Come up from the ground looking extra, extra fly. Child, you include the sky. You gape. You open your blue mouth and such the vulnerable universe falls out. The very last line there, I didn't include a note on this. The story of Krishna, and from Hindu and Vedic, tradition, Krishna literally means either dark blue man or black person. So, black people have been everywhere. And Krishna, in one story, the story of Krishna is a religious figure, right? He's born through calculated means, and he goes to school apparently, and he comes home and he's in trouble, and he has eaten some dirt or something like that. He's done something like that, and his mother comes to him and says, "Open your mouth," and when he does, the whole universe is inside his mouth. And so I just thought that was such a beautiful image, an idea, like something to say about speech, something to say about language. Okay. This is also a long book. I thought, okay, it's been 10 years. Let's let them have a lot of poems so they can leave me alone. So these next two poems are coming out of, the second one will explain it a little bit clearer, but they're coming out of, so gender and race are not identical, but they overlap, they collapse each other. And I was reading through history, as I just am wont to do, and I came up to, via Natasha Trethewey, the history of the Costas paintings. In the Costas paintings, her book, Thrall, does this beautifully, but these are paintings that the Spanish and sometimes the French would create that dictates or illustrates their ideas behind racial purity. So there was an idea. The English didn't do this. The English were very miscegenation, don't mix, even though they did. But even though, forced rape is an aspect of slavery, right? But the Spanish and the French had a different kind of relationship to it, thinking that through generations, someone like me could eventually become white. Not me, myself, but my fourth grandchild, because there's a continual creolization each step. I'm not here to endorse that. I'm not here to say that's okay, but I think it is just interesting that history exists, and so that idea exists. And I just said, well, what if gender or sexuality was treated in such ways, right? Could you have a sort of a situation like that? And what was really interesting about the Costas painting are the titles, where they would have stuff like "girl" and the girl midway through, Negro girl midway through the sky comes back a mulatto, or something like that. They would be these titles that kind of make a math of it. So I was really interested in that, so I wrote this poem called "Boy Coming Out Gay, Going Far the Lady, Way to Queer." I confess the trans is dangerous. It leans provocation on the teeth of the mind, an idea to kill all other ideas, like category, order, line. Suppose the problem of the century still be the color line, since the problem is increasingly the line. I walk my far lyric to self. Was I gay or trans then? Will I Rickey or Key? The danger be if trans willingly tear up and confuse all surfaces and neat embankments and levied cities sufficiently keeping one hood from another. What else? If you look at me liking what you see, are you gay? Fag, distinctions by? What am I going towards? Once a boy going gay, never man, coming forth to lady, few deny, for queer's umbrella, gang, for dream queen, all game to what else? Though if I be queer, should women who snarl love at me be lesbian? Or men who throw want at me straight? Carl, I was gay my whole 20s, and do I miss it? But I miss the staying gay after tongues kiss, that little bottom shame lost in the name bottom. Now gay to queer miss, to dream, to trans, asterisk, all nice, though trans will suffice. There are legitimate, thank you. There are legitimate questions to be asked around this transitional moment we have. But what's interesting to me is that I don't have all the answers, but I have a lot of questions, right? I can't tell you what you is if you're attracted to me. Let's just be attracted to each other, right? So this next poem is also in that same vein. It's called Girl Going Boy, Coming Back to Girl Going Woman. Taint one and taint the other, or something like Natasha Trethewey. The Carl of the first poem was Carl Phillips, right? I just decided to call out some people. I'll start over. Taint one and taint the other, or something like Natasha said. And I'm guessing she didn't mean me, X going XY, coming back for another X. Maybe did. Supposing we must always be enwombed in one's mind's idea of sex, that idea of ourselves cautioned in our mother's DNA. Might a lady person be permitted to change her mind? We can go back. Go the other way. I say I'll switch figure, and why not? So mama, let my body through. Because science, medicine, because I told me to? Yes, but the help of a society are its needs, not construct. Gender is a social contract, a laugh shared between different embodiments. If the mind alone make the trans decision, it still needs a body's help. Then I could be my own Costas painting, discerning mythy genders over mythy race. Then I would lend a painting's lighted beauty out to the society of the body, where worlds blend and negotiate to their component hairs. You can get there from here, though there's no going home, Natasha said. Poem, let me go home to that early circuit where there isn't contest, and but be the seed of a girl. Whatever chromo vetoes it is no God, nor ood. I am who I become and always been, fecund in the body, original girlhood. Thank you. Is there water? Yes, there's water. Hydration. So it was kind of hard deciding what kind of tone I wanted to have in the book. I didn't want to write. I just had so much resistance to writing. Well, I'm trans, and let me explain it to you. Kind of book, but also I didn't want to write. I said it hasn't been easy. I didn't necessarily want to sit in pathos the whole time because my life isn't pathetic. Actually, my life is really beautiful and amazing, but at other times it has not. And so these next two poems speak to that. Telling the story of the way of the serpent. 1. My sadnesses are intelligent. They make, by way of chronic hard head traumas and stress, more, not less crooked in an accident of available brain apart from heart. That the soul survives this damage, allowing me to be smart, crazed, more broken but possessible old myself, who babbled English, my mama said. I'm sad today, like most days. Am I really crazy or weirdly depressive? Schizo, or do I affect small, strange typos in the brain but grow reflexive? Diagnose me, please. But aren't I sad my mama and I don't speak the same artery? That my hostile speech she wince at, my shangled soul bites her ear? She repeats on me as what cleanly quick-fired Goliath, the queen Dido corrected by Pyre. Neither tell their story. I mean, she's meant to call on me, her black child, some umpteen times, the cops, says the record, to send me to psych wards dread. That's not my child, mama screams. Is it my fault the world brutalized a change? The bodies elect. Me, who kept getting hit. Should have stayed dead, mama never says about my career digression. My life's long psychotic sleep I wandered on, sad way of the serpent in the fugue alone. I babbled, she said, days late, didn't make no sense, didn't trust home. It is sometimes the point of the poem not to make sense. It is not only the ask of the poem to suffer an image of your pain and make that beautiful, sometimes just to say what happened is enough. Not to say that they threw me back, strapped, cuffed to a bare twin bed, spread eagle, I'm not lying. How 3 armed policemen and the white female nurse that gladly jabbed my eye left me shackled, alone, and X hours like an ether at University Medical Center behavioral health emergency, having replaced charity after Katrina, having replaced care at 2475 Canal Street, afraid as a child slave is afraid, sweet 26, 27, I remember, crying, no one's poet, only singing loved me there, me peeing all down my legs, their tawny lyrics, and they never told me why or anything, or she explained, not to make you care. My sadnesses are intelligent. They make, by way of chronic hard head traumas and stress, less, not more, crooked in the accident of available brain, apart from heart, though the soul survives this damage, allowing me to be smart, crazed, more broken but possessible O of myself, who babbled English, my mama said. Trans loneliness, trans embodiment, with Marsha P. Johnson in mind. But why doubt I grow breasts a natural way? Am I not real flesh? Am I not likely sway of that same species and given biology? Not cis, you think me alien, scary? Do I so estrange? Must I be, if seen like that Gorgon lady, my 2 new added latest eyes budding from the chest ache, oh it itched. The nips, its eyes which make us monster, hiss and gaze back best at a specious staring world, its eyes which make slither, feeds me down fists. So I took my feminine chill, stalled virgin, except for taking my anti-androgen, patient some several years, then broke such chill to stern the heart. That it? Then asked for estrogen, eyes make sweet. Then I urged progesterone into the regimen, all pills to advocate my heart. Indeed, I bloomed. Beware, I am a beauty, with spices added. I bleeds. See that I hope some such medical, methodical, hormonal surgery put upon my fungible flesh is yet, what, enough? And assuming, soy as I am, and black and coy, Though even surgeries are our due, Martha, God's child, our right to appeal and so revise with happy, lonely sovereignty it makes and eyes make holy body we can claim. I can't afford it. So I learned to express my body piecemeal, no cancer, no coward. Didn't I rise in this AM to cry pearls? Please, friend, girl, answer. Okay. Where is it here? Okay, this is the last. Yeah, it's the last sad poem. This is just a short one. So violence, I did have violence put upon my body several times during my transition from people who just failed to understand what I was or what I was attempting. And at one point, I don't remember this except for the fact that my head was split open and I had to have it stapled back. So this is called Passion Isn't Trauma, Isn't Fury, Isn't Repeated Pain. Blood stood up on her face, shocked once, not again. Never mind, red be boring. Dreams, talons, not just some sutures, but dreams suffer my split head, now used to suffering red. Pain is hot, the sun viral, so foul pain. Now as any random star, is all dwarf stars between us, though my face betrayed none of their dark goings on faced. That heart beat faced by stranger company again and again is scarred. Survive, baby, it throws me left and something hard am so thrilled. How once you come that far to know the growl beaky pain you know. And that's for Brianna Gay, who was a trans child in England who was terribly hurt, killed, and tortured by her own classmates. Very young girl. Not everything in the world is great. Just 3 more poems and then I haven't wept. I'm happy. This one is called Hermaphrodite. And I'm calling up a lot of things here, but I'm also calling up a part of my childhood where in the 90s in New Orleans, I heard that word a lot. And there's an exclamation mark in the book. And depending on the tone, it could be either accurate or hurtful. Hermaphrodite, 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 or second paean. All eyes on earth be urgently attracted to that hermaphroditic form I long for having. I have it, an Egyptian happy. Derision won't change the body I swarm, nor scorn, no more violence or lies can try me small. I ease around, quasi-quadroon of sex's quick balls tray black, confronted with these added eyes batted against the temple grace of my body, my breasts. Oh, am I a looked at dignity demanding yet song? That tight through space between seer and what's seen might be sensations rise, or shame, or is solicitation's chance, that calculus arguing gender, sans what petty nubile knowledge divides my thighs. Remember me, the god Phanes who created cries, use me, the god Hermaphrodite who revises replied. I am their audience. Honey, ain't nothing here so par. Light breaks over all eyes like sound plays the guitar. This is a poem that was referenced in the introduction, called "Use of the Erotic," and that phrase came up in an earlier poem, but it's coming out of the essay by Audre Lorde of the same title, "Uses of the Erotic." And actually, this poem started off as a Facebook status, and then it became a poem. So, "Use of the Erotic," and it opens with an epigraph by James Baldwin that says, "I want to be honest. I want to be an honest man and a good writer." That's true. Are we in the library? No. Okay, well, it opens in the library. Let me tell you how. I like the red that hides itself coy in a library quickie, through pages that mahogany hold, and I love the skin mahogany. I like the specifically wet pink of my lips before a kiss or after biting them anytime I'm thinking or nearness ends. I like the even way such ignorals quick. like brown eyes turned to honey in excess sun. I like the way the dark and twists itself to Ouroboros and indigo that crushes snake and someone's possible being there, or being also in the room beside you, not for scare but care of you, and I like a look of agony. Except some way East Asia's hair sheens to comet blue and cobalt averno, I like that too. I like the hue of my hips. A haint is just most any saint with a hint of ghost, like how in the selfie to the right I only see the charred ghost particulars of his face smiling to see me. I like to see me. I like to be too kinky, and thinking about the varicolored smell of just cut grass and the better tale of it after it rains. I like to like the things and people and blush and have designs for it and go, oh Lord, and appetites and be resigned to the crush of this power and to trust it feels good. It's information, a fat color, quarantine, the weather of a new hungry sun. I like to say aubergine over eggplant and negro over negro. I like a dick that stands right up at attention and points its mention, its being hard, very to the one it sees a door. I mean, I really like it. 8 inches, Mr. Dark, and the hum of that seeing drum of a door, which is the color of his head, both heads thinking. An easy brown, a snare, a truffle, and weird luck. I really like to fuck. I like the color, swear words, make fractals in my mind, and it's a shame cotton fields were so pretty. A very hot green. I like the color wags and the Puerto Rican flag stood up in every window that of course ain't Puerto Rico, and the literal black when it's closed on my skin, which isn't the literal black, Vanta black, but something like mahogany again, lost of its darkness, which I love, and a creepy yellow melody replaces my face. I like that. I like to spell Hawaii like it's spelled, and I like a yellow halo more than any yellow dress, though it make men fall clean off their bikes. I like a good fight, and any yellow yes sworn from the better goddess returned from hell. I would like to be so honest and a good writer without this being man, and indigo soul, and the quieter arts, and men like windmills blurring. So Patreka is a word that feels gray to me, not gray. I like that I hear that like I like my syntax. So Oshun is a name that feels bronze to me, which is the better call of my skin, though I know he is ignoring gold. I like the way sounds do come themselves like crying do, that second ejaculate, that they become their colors, immaculate colors come their words. And I love the color flying up away of almost any bird. I love this world. I love this world. And this will be my last poem. Thank you. It's the last poem. It's the second to last poem in the book, but it's really the last poem I wrote. Because I originally felt like, okay, I should write just a poem about just how I got here. Like, if someone wanted to read this book and say, I wanted to do the same, like how I got here in a way. And it's called The Making of the Complete Lover. And that comes out of a quote from Walt Whitman, who said, all the known universe has all the known universe has but one complete lover, and that is the greatest poet. Something like that. So it is a poem in, 10 parts, but it's not too long. And thank you again. 1. Because at least you loved always your mind, time spent in juice of tints with it, you loved yourself despite when it was back when you could have easily collapsed. Then you could think, love it, and have your soul's prize. I again stood out and doused the air coppery. Repeat to the mirror in heart's temple, you I love completely. Let me just pause here to say, I kind of also wrote this as a ritual. So the you is to you, right? So you I love, repeat to the mirror in heart's temple, you I love completely. 2, did I always know I could love like that, love my body? All but collided, but once I conceded I'd be my soul's going, a soul being that distance sits between existences and the overall perfection. The damn life fled right out so that the gladder hour come through. Refuse stress, sipping soda, think, choose happiness. When it was you weren't your body and hated and at least doubted yourself, you chose stress. Being that you were convinced to the lie that wrote headaches down your spine, your body's so-called insufficiencies, red mark, you chose no happiness. So the answer is no. 3, should I believe that? Ergo, we are gorgeous largely for forgoing such tarny ignorance, forgetting love's presence, which a body requires. You require spoken intent. That bitch to be reckoned with, tested, lewdly here, who thinks she's worthy, Lord, free and yet grounded. She with me, she believes it. She has assumed the agency requisite to choose thyself and truly be responsible for it. It's just that I was sick and tired of always being sick and tired, you know. You know how it is. 4. How it went. It took 10 or so gross, weird years at least. It took 20. And tears, mirror, shade, shadow, and light work, and head voices. It took sobbing tears, care work. For real life, I suppose it could be true to enjoy it and look as if I did. Have grace. For me, dysphoria was in my body literal. It punctuated. It wrote criticism in my blood. At any reflected surface, any trace, for years I avoided them, but when I couldn't, I despised my face. 3. But now delight in it. Cherish it, sweet confrontation. Let me tell you how. 4. On remembering the body. Dismembering limb by limb, such patient surgery. My body as to remember rhyme by rhyme. My body well and whole, I became a mystery. A tried and true drama of the trauma I inherited from a straitened world, ever stridently striving but failing their cues. Yet I, by and by, tipsy, jubilant, sibilant, I found myself more actually in a kind of mental passion than such play, than such paradigm, would shoo away the generation's dread, if still not cure pain, the dreaded shame, if not yet anxiety, provoke and so approach versus vanity, trusted, truest beauty, which is one in the mind. 5. What is the name of this spell? Continued ritual of the boy Isis, I said, or Estria's return, or the miracle play, or the little decade of increasingly more useful tender smiles, or initiation, or the new evangelism with her lucid veil star overhead and psychic wings, self-actualizing, decade in which each summer blazed with a deliberate discriminate to each body's parts nudity, as the intent was to be seen, that would truly release me to my goal, which was to obsess less compulsively everyone else's gazes, not to believe the lie in my mind assumed in their eyes each time. They hate me, have they hated me, don't desire, they hate me. 6. And was that wrong? Exactly that I had heretofore felt always cloaked in wrong feeling. I ordered these steps, which are not wrong. Find honor. I didn't know I could be a woman if I should ask for permission until I was a woman. And exactly what's that issue with adding more women? 7. On remembering the body. And so I dressed each hated part of my body deliberately to let it ride in the male and female gazes. Evidently you will assume why. Evidently you almost need not ask at all, but you will try as well as ritual anyway and assume wider. We go toward ourselves through the body. We are any of us good for the soul. Now remember, first legs I wore shorts, then waist, crop tops, then ass I wore skinnies, then hips at all. 8. Each item by item. If I didn't want anyone seeing it, having it, I made them see it, claimed it, and I didn't collapse. And I made me breathe the certain discomforts with myself, what might have only ever been in my mind, sutured there by an insidious world. And slowly over time, I made me grieve my death. Withstand it, I said. Stay easy. It becomes my mantra. For all future comfort started off an itch, a wound. You would either scratch out or tear it further in or pass through the body until it is treated in concert, in coherence with its society, is not a complete thing. It creeps on old hinges, forced into the burning closet. It fringes, yet requires 9. Why lie? Everything lies. Then appendages, then arms I wore wife beaters, my back I wore nothing, and hips again. Then finally came my face, and it was a while till its feminine eyes would rise up like hopeful flags. If it's a lie to say you're beautiful dutifully in the mirror banally as while brushing your teeth, repeating it each day falling off the good ball like rose petals. If it's a lie to ritualize my gladdest responsibility to heal by speaking to thine brain directly, then it's a lie supplies fate, not conspiracy, makes of a penultimate self her ultimate, who I'll just call the person. 10. Why lie? Always choose in the person, where power lies and is invented. Forgive into your face. Have solidarity. Remind yourself you are a liberal claim, precious body with huge prerogative. I did, and ridiculously, I did not die. die. You won't die. I thrill where once was a thorn, just to be alive and mine. You can too. No more gods, no more slaves. We can change. And I am suddenly a species sublime. See? Now the sun also rises. Now the Mississippi becomes the Nile, wildly roaming, bold again, and for thee.